Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's tutorial we are going to learn how to cut a queen and neckline with this corset back. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please continue watching and let's get started. So these are the measurements you need to take when you want to draft your own bustier top or gown. You need your shoulder measurement, which is 16. You need your bust measurements, your round bust measurement, your waist round waist measurement. You need your shoulder to the bust point. You need your shoulder to the under bust. You need your shoulder to the waistline. Then you need your nipple to nipple measurements. You need to take all these measurements if you want to draft your bustier. Let's go and draft. And I'm just going to mark a straight line, and we are going to start all our measurements from this line. This line now will be our shoulder line. So all the measurements that I want to take will start from this place, then I'll mark it down to this point. On this line, I'm going to place my tape like this. I'm going to mark my shoulder. Remember, we said this place is the shoulder line. Shoulder line. Then I'll place my tape on that line. Then I will mark my shoulder to the bust point line. Shoulder to the bust point line, which is 12. I mark 12 here. Still placing the tape on that line, I'm going to mark my shoulder to the under bust. Shoulder to the under bust is 15 and a half. I'm going to mark the 15 and a half here. Then another line is the shoulder to the waistline. The shoulder to the waistline is 18 and a half. I'm going to mark that 8 and a half here. So all this line now, I'm going to connect them to have a straight line like we did on the shoulder line. So this line is the bust point line. Bust point line. This line is the under bust, and this line is the waist line. Now come to the shoulder line. You are going to divide your shoulder by 2. My shoulder is 16, divided by 2 is 8. So I'll mark that 8 inches. And then you come to this center part. You are going to mark 3 for the neck width. This is standard. So on this shoulder measurement divided by 2, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And this 1 inch, I'm going to connect it to meet the shoulder width. So here, then from this point now, you are going to mark your chest line measurement, which is our armhole. So to get that, you are going to divide your bust circumference, your round bust, by 6. Then you are going to add 1.5 to that measurement. My bust is 43. If I divide it by 6 plus 1.5, I'm going to get 8.6. So I will be using 8.5. From this shoulder slope, you are going to mark 8.5, and this line will now be our chest line. So this line now, you are going to connect it to have a straight line as well. So this line now is our chest line. Whatever you come to the shoulder line, whatever you have on this shoulder line, we have 8. You are going to mark that 8 inches on the chest line also. After marking it, you are going to connect this place and this place. You are going to connect them together to have a straight line. So here, this is what we have. Now we need to mark our armhole. Come to this point now, you check whatever that you have here. We have 8 and a half. Then you are going to divide that 8 and a half by 2. So this is it. You divide it by 2. I have 4 and a quarter. So from this point here, I'm going to come in by ½ inch. So you come. So this is the ½ inch. You go to the chest line. You are going to mark your bust, your round bust measurement by 4. You are going to input it on this point. So my bust is 43 divided by 4 will give me 10 and 3/4. So I'm going to mark it here. So now you are going to take this point, and this point. You are going to connect them together. That will give us the armhole. So this is what you have here. Now you are going to mark our dart. This place now, this points I'm touching here is the center front. That is where we'll be starting all the measurements. The nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. If I divide that 8 inches by 2, so I will have 4 inches. I'm going to add half inch to that measurement. That will give me 4 and half. So I'll come to the waistline, I will mark 4 and half. Come to the under bust, you mark half, 4 and half. You come to this point, you mark half, 4 and half on other lines. This is it. Then you are going to connect it to have a straight line. So this is it. Come to this shoulder line, the shoulder slope. You are going to check whatever that you have there. I have 5 inches. I'm going to divide that 5 by 2. If I divide it by 2, I have 2 and half. So you mark the 2 and half. Now you are going to take that 2 and half. You are going to connect it to meet this point. You can take it and connect it to the bust point line. So that is what I'm going to do. Just take the line, then connect it to meet the bust point line. Now this is what we have. Now we need to take our dart. On this line, on both line, I'm going to mark 1 inch. 1 inch here, 1 inch here. You go to the under bust. This is the under bust. You mark the same thing, 1 inch, 1 inch. Then you are going to connect these points. You are going to connect them to have a straight line. So this is it. After that, you will come to this bust point line. Just go down by 1 inch or half inch, depend on what you want. So I'll go in by, I will come down by half 1 inch. On the bust line, come down by 1 inch. Then you are going to connect these 2 points together. You go to the other side and do the same thing there. So this is what we have here. So here you come to this shoulder by 2. Just check whatever that you have there. You come down by 1 inch from this part, from this shoulder line, from this line, from this armhole line. You mark it here. Then you come down by 5 inches. So you mark the 5 inches. Then from this part now, you are going to connect it to meet this point. You can go more than this. If you want to reveal your cleavage, you can go from this point by 1 inch, or you can do it if you are using a yoke. You can get to this bust point, depend on how much the cleavage you want to reveal. But I will be using the chest line for this. So I'm going to place it like this with a curve, or you can go in like this, depend on what you want. But I think this the armhole divided by 2 is okay, because I want it to be curved a little bit. So this is what you have. On this both line, I'm going to mark 1 inch on the line. On the both line, I'm going to mark 1 inch. So this is the 1 inch. After marking the 1 inch, you come to the bust point. You are going to go up by 1 inch as well. This is the bust point line. So you are going to connect this 1 inch to meet this point. You are going to repeat the same process for the other one. So this is what we have. So I will check whatever I have here. I have 1.5. I think is okay for the queen, and I think it's okay. Now what I'm going to do is this point here, I'm going to connect it to meet the neck width. You can connect it straight, or you connect it to have a little slanted. So this is what we have here. Remember, this place is not constant. You can go down by 1 inch depending on how long you want this place to be. So now after drafting, we are going to input all our measurements. So we already marked the bust divided by 4. You check whatever you have here. I have half inch here. You are going to add that half inch there as well. When you cut it out now, you need half inch to join this place and this place together. That will give us 1 inch. Then I'll add seam allowance. I'll add 1 inch seam allowance. That will give me 2 inches. So on this chest line, I'm going to add 2 inches. This is it. Then you come to the waistline. The waist is 40 divided by 4 is 10. We are going to mark the 10. But before that, you check whatever you have here. I have 2 inches. So I'm going to add the 2 inches because we are going to cut out this dart. So you need to add the dart back. So I have 2 inches here. If I divide the waist by 4, I will have 10. So I'm going to add that 2 inches to it. That will give me 12. That will give me 12. Now you need to don't forget that you need to join the both. After you cutting it down, you need to join these both together. So you need half inch here, half inch here. That will give me 1 inch. Then I will add 2 inches. I will add extra 1 inch for seam allowance. That will give me 2 inches. So I'm going to connect these 2 points together. So this is what we have. This is what we have here. Now before you cut it out, you need to add your seam allowance. We are going to go up at this point. You are going to go up by half inch. Then you are going to add it because you need to, this is the shoulder line, you need to join it together. Then you add your half inch on the shoulder line. You come to this line also, you are going to add, you can add 1 inch, you can add half inch. So I'm going to add 1 inch to this point. So after marking it, you extend this, you extend the darts also before cutting it. You are going to extend all the darts. So that is all. Because if you cut out this pattern, this part is slanted. So you come to this part, you check this part and this part, the 1 inch that we came up from when we want to cut it. So I have 4.5. That 4.5, you are going to take it to this point. As you can see, we have a shortage here. You are going to extend that line like this. You are going to extend it because if you don't do it, this part is going to be shorter than this part. So after you have go up, you match it, you are going to connect it back. So this part, we don't need this part. This is where you are going to cut out when you want to cut it. So now let's cut it out. So you start from this place. After that, then you cut out this part. So this is what we have now after cutting it out. When you want to cut it out, you are going to add half inch to this part, then half inch to this part. Don't forget, we did not have half inch to the armhole. We are going to add half inch to it. Now this is what we have for the front now, and don't forget to add all your necessary allowance. So let's go and draft the back. You are going to mark a straight line like we always do. You mark a straight line here. Then you come to this other hand. You are going to mark your zipper allowance. That's the first thing that you are going to do. You mark your zipper allowance, and here I'm using 1 inch. So I'll mark 1 inch. So you are going to connect it to have a straight line. So this line now will be our zipper allowance. So all the measurements you want to take, this part will be our center back. So all the measurements you want to take, you'll be starting from this new line. Now we need to mark our lines now. This line, don't forget, will be the shoulder line. This is the shoulder line. So from that shoulder line, you place your tape on it. Then you mark your chest line. My chest line from the shoulder is 9.5. I will mark 9.5, and the waist, shoulder to the waist, is 18. I'll mark the 18. Then I'm going to connect it to have a straight line like this. Do the same thing on the chest line. So this line is the chest line, while this line is the waist line. You are going to come to the shoulder line. You are going to divide your shoulder divided by 2 is 18. So I've marked the 18. Then on this point, you are going to mark your shoulder width. The front and the back neck width is always the same thing. We mark 3 inches for the front. Then you do the same thing for the back, 3 inches. From this line, you come to this side by 3 inches. Then from this shoulder divided by 2, you are going to come down by 1 inch. This is for our slope. Then you are going to connect these points and these points. You are going to connect it to have a straight line, a slanted line. After that, you come to this chest line. You mark whatever you have on this shoulder line, which is our shoulder divided by 2. You are going to mark it on the chest line as well. So after marking it, you are going to connect it to this point to have a straight line. So this is it. After you have connected it together, you check whatever you have from this point I'm touching to the chest line, from the slope to the chest line. You check whatever you have there. I have 8.5. You are going to divide that 8.5 into 2. If I divide this into 2, I'll have 4 1/4. So I'll mark the 4 1/4 here. From that point, I'll come to this chest line and mark my chest divided by 4 here. The chest is 43 divided by 4 is 10.75. So I'm going to mark the 10.75 here. So now I'm going to connect this point. I'm going to connect this shoulder slope to this midpoint and to this point. If you want to do it, you can come from this part by 1/4 of an inch. Then you connect the 3 lines together. After that, this is what we have here. So now we need to mark our dart. From this point, you are going to mark your nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. So I'm going to divide it into 2. I will have 4, then I'll add 4 to it. That will give me 4.5. You come to this chest line, you are going to do the same thing here. You mark 4.5. Then you are going to connect the 2 lines. On the both side of this line, I'm going to mark half inch, then half inch. So after marking the half inch, I'm going to connect it to meet the chest line. After you are done with that, you are going to mark your round measurements on the waistline. The waist is 40 divided by 4 is 10. Then you are going to come to this point. You check whatever you have there. I have 1 inch, so I'm going to add it to the 10 inches. That will give me 11 inches. So I'm marking 11 inches from this point. So I'm marking the 11 inches. So now I'm going to connect the chest line to the waistline. So this is what we have now. So now on the zipper line, if you notice some of the clothes, whenever you see them, some of the dress at the back, you will see that the zipper part is bulging, is coming out. So to eliminate that, you are going to come to the waistline. This is our waistline. You are going to come in from this zipper allowance. You are going to come in by half inch. You mark half inch. After that, you are going to move the half an inch. You are going to move it to this part, to the chest line. You are going to move it to that part. So that's that for this part. So all these parts we'll cut it out. All these parts now we'll cut it out. So on the side, don't forget you are going to add your seam allowance. So you add your seam allowance of 2 inch or 1.5. I'm using 1.5. So I'm going to connect it together. So this is what we have. So now I want to mark the neck depth for the back. I'm using 2 inches for the back. You can use 1 inch. I'm using 2 inches. So I'll connect the 2 inches to meet the neck width. So this is the neck depth for the back. From this neck depth, I'm going to mark 1 inch. I'm going to mark 1 inch from that part. Then I'm going to connect this part to this dart leg. You can do that with your free hand. Just do it like this. You are going to do it like this. Don't forget, you are going to extend this neckline. You are going to extend it to this point here. The 1 inch we marked here, you are going to extend it to meet this point. So if you want, this is how it's going to be. So that is how you are going to, this part is going to be. And this is all for the back. So this that you can decide to leave it like this, or you can decide to cut it out on the fabric, on the pattern. You don't need to sew it on the main fabric. You can decide to cut it out on the pattern. So let's just do that. Let's cut it out. On this shoulder line, you are going to add half inch to join the two, the back and the front. Don't forget to add your half inch, or you can do it when you are cutting it out on the main fabric. So this is it. You are going to cut out this part. Then this is your dart. So this one, you are going to cut it out like this, and cut it out here. I hope you understand this part. So this is where this one is going to stop. Then you cut this part, you cut it out. So this is it. Now for the dart, if you don't want to cut out your dart, you can just extend this dart leg. You mark it like this, then you move it to this point here. If you don't want to sew the dart, then you are going to pick the dart like this. Then you are going to move it, use it to close the other end. Then you use your tape and close it. So this is what we have here. Then you trim off this part very well. So this is what we have for the back. If you are making use of yoke, just if you are making this part will be the yoke. This part will be the yoke. This is the yoke, and this is the main clothes. Or you can use the same fabric for the two. And that is how you are going to cut out the back. This is the front. This is what we have for the front and for the back. And that's all for this today's tutorial. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you guys in another video. Bye.